I'm Lynda, City Manager for the City of Rowlett. Thank you for taking your time today to learn a little bit more about a program that we're launching called Rowlett, My Community, My Money, My Choice. In these tough economic times, the City of Rowlett is really no exception. Our budget is challenged, just like I'm sure yours is at home. We can't turn on the television these days without hearing the challenges that the state of Texas has, and many states across the country, as well as budget issues on a federal level. We are very, very proud of the journey that we have taken to manage your resources as fiscally conservatively and fiscally responsibly as we can. This year, our staff has already begun work on next year's budget, which starts October 1st, 2011. Staff has identified more than $667,000 worth of reductions. Will require a reduction in employees. The City Council has taken a very exhaustive journey relative to employee benefits. There will be some reductions relative to our benefits in the future in order to reduce some costs that the city would have incurred in 2017. Staff has already reduced a number of line items to get to that $667,000. But the reason that I'm here today to explain to you the point of Rowlett, My Community, My Money, My Choice, is to this point we've been able to make those reductions without adversely impacting your services. We've added capacity, found capacity, utilized technology. We work smarter, not harder. All of the important tricks of the trade, if you will, really examining city government, making sure that we're just as efficient as possible, and we've done that. As a part of the budgeting process, I submit a two-year budget, one for fiscal year 2012, which starts October 1st, 2011, and then there's a second year budget that will start October 1st, 2012 that we will call fiscal year 2013. And that's the budget that I'm most concerned about, and it's that budget that we need your help on. The city charter requires that the city manager submit a budget every year for council consideration. And it's your input that I'm seeking to help with the development of our second year budget, that fiscal year 2013. And the reason for that is this. I believe staff has done an amazing job of analyzing their budgets to find reductions in order to allow us to continue to maintain the quality of service you've come to expect from us on a daily basis. Further reductions are not possible without adversely affecting the services that you get. And that's why we want you involved. We want to hear from you. We want your input on the services that are most important to you. At the end of the day, we want you to continue to be a very proud citizen of the City of Rowlett. We have a very bright future. We are expecting President George Bush Turnpike to open at the end of the year. We've been waiting for DART light rail for 27 years, and it's going to open at the end of 2012. And at that time, we have to balance our future with our current needs, and it's so very important that we do that collectively as a community so we can continue to offer the services that you need while we plan for our future. As a part of the process, I want to reacquaint you with the city government. I want to spend some time talking to you about some departments. In those departments, we're going to talk about their budget, some of the benefits, some of the optional services that are available for reductions. And as a part of full disclosure, we want to educate you on what some of the unintended consequences are if those services are reduced, so that you can make an informed decision as we make this journey. Now let's start our conversation today about understanding your tax dollars. You can see from the chart that Rowlett is now the 7th highest tax rate in Dallas County. 2006, Rowlett had the 2nd highest tax rate in Dallas County. During this time period, we've had the same tax rate for 6 consecutive years. You know, I talked just a moment ago about the tough economic challenges that the City of Rowlett is facing. Well, this chart really depicts how that economic challenge has affected the City of Rowlett. You can see that the average taxable home value has declined since 2007. In 2007, it was a little over $149,000, and today it's a little over $140,000. So really, what does that mean to the city of Rowlett? Well, in that time period, the city has lost over $160 million worth of taxable value that we would collect revenue against. In real terms, it's over $1 million in real money to the general fund. What does it mean to you as a taxpayer? Well, Rowlett residents are paying on average $65 less today than they were just 3 years ago for the same services. And as city manager, I would like to believe that those services are equal to or better than they were several years ago. This chart is intended to help you understand how your tax dollars are distributed. For those of you that write a personal check at the end of the year for your tax dollars and you send it to Dallas County, it's a big check. You may not really understand where your tax dollars go. This chart shows you that the city of Rowlett only receives 28.5% of your tax check. The largest portion of your check goes to the Garland Independent School District. They receive over 47%, and the remainder is divided between Parkland Hospital, Dallas County, and Dallas County Community College District. As I indicated, 28.5% of your taxes come to the city of Rowlett. So when you look at this chart shows you what we do with your taxes once we get it. You can see that a third of your tax dollars go to pay debt. 0.2525 cents of the 74.71 cent tax rate goes to debt. The city of Rowlett has debt for things that we've sold in the past. Streets, park improvements, facilities such as the recreation center, just to name a few. The city of Rowlett has to pay its debt obligation. So when your tax dollars come in, the very first allocation we make is to the debt fund to pay that 25 cents and to pay our debt holders. The remainder, the remaining 2/3, 0.49 cents, goes to operations and maintenance to be specific. That's what makes up the general fund, and it's a portion of your tax rate that pay for the services that you've come to expect. When you look at the chart behind that's on the screen now, you can see that in comparison to the allocation of debt in our tax rate, we're above average, just a little bit above average against the 26 cities that are shown on the chart. At this point in time, you've heard me talk about value, that we try to give you value for your tax dollars. But I want to take a moment and define what is value. Value is a fair return or equivalent in goods or services or money for something exchanged. And we certainly hope that when you evaluate your tax dollars against the services that you receive, that you agree with me that you get good value for your tax dollars. It's important to note that government is shrinking. One of the ways that we are managing our reduction in revenues to ensure that our expenses match up with the revenues that the city receives is we've reduced the number of employees that we have. The city has cut more than 40.75 positions since 2007. When we start the fiscal year 2012 budget, October 1st, we will actually have the same amount of employees that we had in 2003. That's how far back we have to go to find a year when the city will have the same amount of employees. So we really have worked to be very efficient, to be able to provide the kinds of services that you've come to expect and manage the financial challenges that the city has. As a part of that, we've obviously become a more efficient government. You can see from the chart that when you evaluate the benefits as a cost per employee compared to 23 other Metroplex cities, we're second from the bottom. Only the city of Frisco is more efficient in cost per employee. This chart's really important. The reason for that is the city of Rowlett is a service organization. We don't make anything. We don't sell anything. We're a service organization. Service provided by people. You can see from the chart that when you look at the total wages and benefits as a cost per employee, we're very efficient when you compare us against the other 23 cities. There's only two cities that are more cost efficient than we are, and that's the cities of Sachse and Frisco. So for the service that we provide with the employees that we have, do a fabulous job every day providing the services you've come to expect. We're very efficient in the cost to provide that service. I want to take a few moments to talk about some other ways that we provide great value to you, and that is through the utilization of volunteers. If you're not volunteering, please do. Every time I have an opportunity to speak to the community, I'm always asking for volunteers. You are so important in making sure that we can continue to provide the great services that we do. Last year is a great example. You can see from the chart we saved more than $208,000 because we had so many volunteers that it was equal to more than 5 full-time equivalent employees. And that's really important because there were some services that we were able to offer that weren't reduced because we had volunteers. That's especially true in the library, especially true in animal services, and very true in our park maintenance. We've come to rely on and count on volunteers to help us provide the services you've come to expect. So again, if you're not volunteering, please do so. We want to put you to work. This chart just is intended to give you an update on the wet zone. Many of you are aware that the wet zone opened more than 10 years ago. And through the years, it has been subsidized by your tax dollars. You can see from the chart that it's been as much as almost $500,000 in some years. And in these economic challenges, we've had to work to make sure that it supports itself. And last year was the first year that it did that. It made a profit of $5,200, the first time that has happened since its opening year. Staff has done a really good job to make sure that we have appropriate staffing. We've really focused on who our market is in an effort to provide a great experience to those that attend our season every year. Another example of value for your tax dollars is the effort that the police department does relative to warrant collection. You can see from the chart that our warrant collection is up 34%. Our warrant disposition is up 37%. Another good news story out of that is the number of community service hours that we've received. In these tough economic times, we respect the fact that many people that have outstanding warrants just financially aren't able to take care of that. And they're able to satisfy their obligation to the City of Rowlett through community service. And those folks help us in park maintenance, help us at the animal shelter, and are able to contribute to the community in a very important way as they fulfill the obligation that they have. This chart shows you that code enforcement's everybody's job, and we are so appreciative of the partnership that we have with the community. You can see that we had a 95% compliance rate in 2010 with more than 14,500 violations. That's simply amazing. Our police department has done a great job of maximizing the number of code officers that we have. More than 11% of the 14,500 violations were reported by the patrol division. And the reason for that is they're out in the neighborhoods engaging with the community, helping us be proactive. And we appreciate the support that we get from the community on maintaining good property values and maintaining the integrity of our neighborhood through quality code enforcement. You know, one of the great surprises that we got last year was being recognized by Money's Magazine's top 24 best places to live. And it was a surprise because there's no application process. We didn't really know we were in the running until we heard from a reporter for Money Magazine indicating that she was going to be in the community. They had identified the City of Rowlett. They have a series of indicators that they run through their computer, and it generates a list of communities that they will then go out and personally interview and investigate to make sure that we meet their criteria. And we're very proud of the fact that we did and celebrated that fact back in the summer on one of the more hotter days of the year. And we're pleased to do that with more than 3,500 of our citizens. And we are especially proud that Money Magazine recognized that Rowlett is a unique and special place and recognized us on a national level for something that we already knew. Let's get back to your taxes just a minute. This chart shows you how the distribution of your taxes works among the services that you receive. Remember, I indicated that there were really two components of your tax rate, one that paid for debt and one that paid for operations. And this just breaks down that information a little bit more. You can see that the debt portion of your tax rate represents about 34% of your taxes. The rest is allocated between operations, and this chart shows you how that occurs. Obviously, police and fire take up the biggest portion of that. That's reflected in the actual budgets that they get. If you've looked at the city's budget, those are the two largest departments in the city, so it certainly makes sense that they would have the biggest allocation. The Parks Department receives 7%, as does Public Works. Administration on this chart makes up the City Secretary's office, the City Council, as well as the City Manager's office. Support services are the things that are necessary to keep the city functioning, like our Information Services Department, our Communications Department, Fleet, Building Maintenance, and Municipal Court, Finance Department, HR. Those type of administrative functions that support the city and our ability to provide you the great service that you receive. The library receives 2%, and then our Innovations Fund, which is where we put one-time money to reinvest in the organization and in the community relative to the infrastructure that we need, makes up roughly 3%. So why are we here? This chart shows you that for the third straight year, the city is facing additional reductions in part to falling property tax values. Clearly, we're not the only city facing this issue, as I indicated. It's a challenge on a state level as well as nationally. We are projecting in fiscal year 2012, that starts October 1st, that we expect our property tax valuations to drop another 1.5%. The city's working very hard to create a level of financial sustainability in order to plan for and to provide the appropriate level of service, quality of life, and public safety that can be consistently maintained within the available resources. Our future demands that. As I indicated, PGBT is going to open at the end of this year. Dart Light Rail is going to open up at the end of 2012. And we have waited all this time for our future, and our future's here. We have to balance the needs of today with our ability to manage growth in the future so that we can be competitive with the region, with the cities along the PGBT corridor, with cities along the Dart corridor. And that's a real challenge, and we're very focused on making sure that we make sustainable decisions, and we do so where we can continue to provide the good services that you've come to expect while planning for the future. As I indicated earlier, the city has already started working on its budget October 1st. To reaffirm what I've already indicated, we're reducing our workforce. We're reducing employee retirement benefits. We're reducing various supplies and contracts to the tune of $667,000. And I believe we've been able to do that very strategically and not impact the services that you have been receiving. So what needs to be done in fiscal year 2013 that will start October 1st, 2012, and it's part of that second year budget that we'll be presenting to you? Well, the truth of the matter is I don't believe that we'll have the ability anymore to provide the services that you've been able to receive and expect to receive without adversely affecting those services. And that's why you're here. We need your input. We need to hear from you so we can be strategic on making the decisions that we provide on the services, because we want you as a citizen to be very proud of the city of Rowlett. We want you a part of our future, the opportunities that we have in economic development to grow our tax base. And so this process is very important that we hear from you. As we start the process, whether in person or online, we're going to ask you some demographic information so that you'll be able to share with us the audience that we heard from. There'll be questions like, what's your gender? What's your age? How long you've lived in the city of Rowlett? Do you have any children? What is your ethnic background? What quadrant of the city that you live in? This will just help us understand some of the aspects of our citizenry that participated in the survey, all typical questions that are asked on surveys. The slide behind me shows what our voting technology looks like. I always use the term clicker. So when you hear me talk about the clicker, that's what the clicker looks like. And it allows us to get your input with you without you ever having to say anything. Oftentimes people have an opinion, but they're not comfortable engaging in public, don't want to register their opinion on the record. So what this does is allow us to hear from you without you ever having to say a word. So your voice is heard in the most important way. This clicker allows us to ask a series of questions. You'll get to vote, and if you do so in person, you'll absolutely see the results of not only what you thought, but the others in the room immediately following that vote. That's why I would encourage you to come and participate in person. I think that you'll find the process very enlightening and very educational. Please complete the following questions, then proceed to the next section.